All right, so let me lock these layers. So depending on where, so you said on this wall,
Oh,
the left wall.
yes, sir.
All right, so depending on how you want to do it, so you got a few ways to do it. So the easiest way to do it would be to do it in chunks. So think of it like everybody been to IKEA, yeah. Or everybody put together something from IKEA before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know how the big long chunks and then the pieces of blocks to go in. So like the one big side of like the bookshelf, and then the smaller shelves. So you kind of build it like that. So for example, let me make this red so we can see it. So say you want to go too deep. So we're going from here to here, and then we can go up, and then over, and then down, so that now we have the front wall, and
Can you put
then
up a color for your stroke?
change the color. Hold on. You can't really see it, can you? Yeah, hold on. Oh, let me make it thicker. We can see it. Is that better?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So we got this one here. It's great. It's kind of yeah. So now remember you don't have to, like in the tutorial, so you don't have to go. So for example, making the thickness, we don't have to go all the way to the next point. We can go a halfway, and we just know that we have to go straight up to hit that center point, and then we go close it, and then we go back down, just like you did with the poly animal to close the shape. And then Control Shift A allows us to click on the same point, and then it allows us to make the points close. That's not all right. So now we have this one half here. This one, actually, this is actually off horribly. So if it's off, you can always click on it and you can always maneuver it over so it's level, like so. So this is the half. This is the side of the panel you would see. Now, alternatively, since we know where it's going to be, we can just select this whole half here and hold the Alt key, and then we can copy it up to be here, so that we know that this is going to be the outside and this is the inside of the shelf that we see. Because we never see the reverse side, so we don't ever have to worry about making that side. So, make sense? So
Yeah.
now we have two. So now we have two halves of this made. So now we can work on the top panel, which is here. So click here, and really it's going to be the same thing. It's just closing this top panel here. And then because we don't see the corners, because the corner is really, or the side of it is hidden behind this one, we don't need to worry about that at all. So we just go straight down halfway, go over and up on the line, intersect line, and then same way. So now we have the top panel, like so. And then we can do the same thing we did before, select this whole half and then just Alt and bring this down. Again, because we don't see the bottom and we don't see the side. So we don't have to worry about making it. So now we have the outline of the shelf. So remember that this is going to be covered up by when we add color to this side. And now alternatively, we could do the same thing going all the way up. If you wanted the shelves to be the same thickness or thinner, you could just, actually no, so let me undo this. So let me just go ahead and add color now. So for example, this, so we know this side is going to be brown. Make sure it's on fill. Make sure it's on stroke. So this is going to be lighter since it's on the inside. This one's going to be darker since it's on the inside. These top ones can be all the same. So we make this slightly, I know its top's gonna be lighter, this color. And then these front facing ones, these three can all be the same as well. So that then when we click on this, we can Alt and clone down. So we got one shelf, two shelf, and then the bottom shelf. So it looks janky because remember, we just have to select these three and Command Shift right bracket, bring to front. So now it's behind it. And then we would also just turn off the stroke on all of these, like so.
All right, can you put one book on there?
Sure. So how to make a book? So same thing. So if you make a book, let's make a simple rectangle. This is a very basic shape, which is actually off already. Just pretend this is a book, because it doesn't looks nothing like a book. Let's make this blue spine, dark spine. It's gonna be darker. Let's pretend this is a book, and then we could group it together, and then we could technically Alt Command G to group, turn off the fill. I'm gonna turn off the stroke on all these. Then you can technically Alt it to copy it over. And you can say change the color to be red. Make this one green. And you can make this shorter. So you get the drift. So then now group these together. And then I'll put them on the shelf. And now we can scale these down. And then we can just send to, so we would technically need to send these to back. So if it goes on this shelf, we would just send it. So control left bracket sends the back. And then this one would need to be, this one needs to be below, and this needs to be above. That's how you would just put something in a very, very rough draft of how it would look.
All right, thank you.
Professor, I'm not sure if you see my chat and my comment in the chat.
No, I didn't. What did I say?
I was asking, when you first assigned it, you said if the majority of the class needed an extension and we could be discussed to extend it till the 25th. So I wanted to know, is that still an option?
Did I say the 25th?
I know I was originally supposed to be due this Thursday, and then you said this would be the Thursday that we discussed to see if we needed an extension.
Oh, I'm probably do the 23rd. Definitely not the 25th. Ugh. That's way too far. I mean, if I extend it to the 25th, then we would still have to start the next assignment though. Because of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll be fine, but if it's still an option, I just wanted to ask.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's up to the class. You all tell me. I'm just a Negro in the room, you feel me? Y'all the class. All right, so the same thing for the what do you call this thing? Refrigerator. Who wanted the refrigerator?
It was me, Naya.
So it's kind of the same deal. I mean, really, the refrigerator, depending on the style you have, it's really just a rectangle. Barring the details. you know.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I tried it on my own and it came out looking weird. So I just wanted to see you do it.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the so this is the basis of one, and then you would just do all the details. Unless you wanted to do a rounded corner one, then you would have to just have more space. So, for example, actually not quite rounded corner. So let's just revert all this to color. So fill this, not purple. Let's make these all the same darker color, and then we would do add less black. So this one, that's not this one, and then go to lighter cyan. There we go. So, for example, if you wanted to do the detail of it, so depending on how it opens, you would oftentimes do a separate rectangle. So, for example, say this would be this bottom half would be the freezer. So then you could change the color slightly. And then you would just do the detail in, for example, the door knobs. I mean, not the door knob, what do you call it? Yeah, the doorknob, the handle, depending on how the handle looks. You know. So remember, as long as the diagonal lines are diagonal and the vertical lines go straight up and down, it really doesn't matter where you place it. So, for example, this one had the smaller door handle. That's slightly off. Now, in order to give some detail, which I didn't cover in the tutorial, which I should have in the next one, but so for example, this is just a regular gray bar. So when you add a gradient to something, by default, the gradient goes from black to white. But generally speaking, you never want to do a black to white gradient. You always want to do a hue to the same color. So for example, a lighter gray to a darker gray, lighter red to a darker red. But in this case, to give the illusion of metal, we're going to go with 3 colors. So I'm going to add gray to here. I'm going to pull my white in the center, and I'm going to click and drag down another gray. So it looks like this. So it's gray. So it's gray going to white, going back to gray. Which looks like this. But with the gradients, you can change the angle of the gradient. So when I change the angle of the gradient, you can see how it looks more like a metallic object. So even if we were to then go to make this white less white and make it more grayish, it now looks like it's more of a metallic, like a metal bar versus just being a gray bar. Did everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then again, same exact gradient, we would just need to change the angle. So, and then when you zoom out, you know, it looks more slightly more realistic, but then you still have to add some shadows. So depending on how you want to design your objects, the detail is the most important part. All right, y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so now remember, you all don't have to work small. You can work as big as you want to, because whenever you scale it down, it's still going to be, you know, it's still going to be stuck to the grid itself. So you can work large if that's easy, and then scale it down. So, for example, looking at an office chair, depending on how you want to make it, I'm going to do a very rigid back one so that you can see kind of how it's made, and then you can always add details to it later. Make sense? Hello?
Yes.
Good. All right, so looking at office chairs. So the ones with the armchairs, the one with the armrest on the side. So again, with the actual grid itself. So again, with similar to how the bookshelf would be, you would have to do the side. So I'm gonna do one whole side of this now. So 1, 2. Turn on my stroke. Command Shift A. Command Shift A. So this is the arm rest. So now remember, with the thickness is going to be the fact that you have to do this panel here. So this side here. Let me zoom in. Can y'all see that better? There we go. That's better. So we have this side here, Command Shift A, and then you have this top panel here. Then you also have the inside flap. So this right here. So technically we should go here, like boom, boom, and boom. Or you could just end it to where it just goes along the line. Because with this one, this is exactly how it is. With this way, we would have to, we just have to remember that we have to actually add a, send this to back. So when I add color to this, it's going to be like this. Now remember, when we start adding color to things, so this is going to be a lighter color. Click on this field, make this lighter so we can see it. This is darker so we can see it. So turning off the grid temporarily, we have this. So this shape, because again, we need to see through this here, we're going to use the Pathfinder function minus to cut in it. So now it's see-through. So now this section here is not a shape. So now we're going to just simply add, so make this dark gray. Actually, I'll make this light gray. And the inside panel, which is these are going to be darker. And remember, we just need to remember that we have to send this to back. So Command Shift right bracket send to back. And then we can do the top panel here, which is this color. So lighter. This would be the lightest because it's at the top. Well, really depending on where your light source is coming from. So this is, say, the isometric version of an armrest, right? And then you have the cushion on the armrest. So again, it is, like I said, it's, this is when you get into the details of things. So pen tool, in order to do the armrest, we could simply do it two ways. We could make it wider. So I'm gonna start here, slightly here, and then go over here, and then up. So again, not sticking to the actual grid, but still sticking to the grid. Let's make this a different color. Make this tan. Make this tan. Turn off the fill. So then we would still have to do the cushion thickness. So again, going down, over, up, Command Shift A, down. No, so technically this should take the form of this. So it should go up and over, but we're just going to go straight through. And then up and over to close it. And we can remember, we can always manipulate the points afterwards if it doesn't seem like it's off or on straight. So for example, when I turn off the grid, this is actually crooked. Oh, that's why, hold on. Let me remake this one because this is off. That was off slightly because the pen tool was curved. So now remember, just send this to the back. There we go. So now we have the armrest cushion. Now, if you want to make it wider or bigger, then you would just simply have to, again, use the direct select tool We can move this further down or over, and then extend this to grab this and just put this right up against here. Grab this path here, put this right up against here. So now it's slightly wider. So that covers how you would make the arm, just the armrest itself. Right? Any question about that? Any question about this? No?
Are you looking at a picture, Professor? Or are you just thinking like part by part?
I'm looking at a picture of an actual office chair on the side.
Okay.
But yeah, making part by part. So no questions? Cool. All right, so next would be the actual, so we can do the seat back next. So again, because it's isometric grid, we don't necessarily have to make it on it, if that makes sense. So we can make it off to the side. So for example, I'm gonna turn on the fill. So say this is gonna be the back of the chair. It's gonna be this wide, and then we're gonna go over. So now because it's a cushion, again, you don't necessarily have to keep it straight. As long as we end it here, we can, angle it slightly so that it looks more like a fabric. So it doesn't necessarily have to be straight. As long as it ends here so that we can collapse it here. Or alternatively, you could even angle it here and then go in like so. So this is the one half of it. So this is the front half. So then because we angled it this way, we can Alt, and then we could Alt and drag this up again on the straight line path. So this, we know that this is, the office chair is going to be this thick. So then we would just go in and add the points here. So now because we did the angle here, we can just use each of these angle points as a point of connection, if that makes sense. So then this one, we know that, actually, I'm gonna turn off the grid. So we know that this point would be connected to this anchor, which is here, to here, to here. Command Shift A. This one can go down to this anchor point, which would go over to this anchor point. So ultimately, we won't see this, but we're using this temporarily as a guide to show us where to put the anchors. So it doesn't look so rigid. Because when we go in and add color, we won't see this at all. So let me fix this one. Fix this, that's off, that goes there. So let's make this the same tan color. Stroke. So then I'm gonna use just hues of this color. So I'm gonna just add this color into all of them, and then go back and slightly change the hue of each one based upon the angle. And then this side would be darker because it's in shadow. So we're gonna turn off the stroke. I'm gonna turn off the fill. I'm gonna turn off the stroke. I was right. So now click on this one, and then when we go to our color panel, we can slightly change it to be a different hue. So that each one is going to be slightly different, or you can just choose a different color. Let's fix this over here. Did my thing switch to CMYK? Hold on. Mode. Color mode. Let's wait. Anyway, you get the drift. So that's the back side of it. All right. So now, for example, if we were to take this, I would say group this together, Command G, and then we can, again, Command Shift, right bracket, bring to front. And this needs to change. This is too similar to that color. And then we can scale this down to be smaller if we need to, and then Alt and copy it over, and then send to back to get the other half. So now we have the two armrests, and then we have the chair itself, and then we can work on the actual bottom of the chair, the base of the seat. So the seat would be the same thing. Let me turn back on the grid. So the seat can be the same thing. We can angle it slightly downward. I should make it further out this way. So this way, angle it up. Then it's going to hit this one right here and then over. So let me extend this to be further. There we go. And then we would just do Command Shift A, then we just do that one side. Which would be here. And then we would do the front half of it. And you could, tweak the color like we did the other ones. Make sense? And then we can pull this out. So then this armrest is going to just sit in front. This would sit behind it. So when you zoom out, actually this should be bigger. Any questions about this? Let me just mark you with these points here. Questions? Hello? No questions?
No, thank you. And where are the recordings going to be on Blackboard?
Yeah, under video under the video tab.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah. So that's how you make the chair. Then you can just do the legs normally, or how you want to do the legs. Do you need me to cover the legs, or you can figure that out?
I can figure it out. Thank you.
So yeah.